Now this, on the other hand, I actually liked a lot. I did find it kind of cool, find it kind of funny, because they're constantly saying the goddamn Batman, like it's kind of a run-on joke. I didn't like how they portrayed Black Canary in this. Black Canary is basically just an ill-tempered bartender who's wearing fishnets for some reason. But it's also an unfinished story. Now, supposedly this year, Frank Miller and Jim Lee was supposed to start off the continuing 6 issues of this, and they're going to rename it Dark Knight Boy Wonder. It was going to continue on with the story, show you what happened, and everything else. What I did like was how Robin is. Robin, in my opinion, restrains himself pretty well in one scene, but then it kind of goes back on that by almost killing Green Lantern. It's funny as hell, because Green Lantern's like, oh yeah, right, that's the kid that you kidnapped and blah blah blah, and then Robin comes up and just starts to beat the shit out of him, basically breaking his trachea or whatever, and Batman has to do that Xena type of old school, put the straw in the throat to let him breathe type of thing. But you never know what happens because the story ends. It's still pretty fun to read, but you are going to be unsatisfied the fact that you won't know what happens unless they finish it. Now let's hope that this recent comic book thing, where they're going to restart everything, is not. I hope that's not going to stop them from finishing this, at least, because this is a graphic novel. It doesn't mean this is not in continuity with the stories that are shown monthly. This is its own continuity, like its own world. So, I hope that they will finish this, because I actually like this one. Then of course we got this, The Killing Joke, which is definitely considered a standout, thing. The pilot for the Birds of Prey adapted some of the story on this, and they did a really good job too. With Dinah Meyer as Barbara Gordon / Oracle, Batgirl / Oracle. This is kind of a fun read. I read it twice. The first time I read it, I made a review, and somebody had pointed out, well, what was I just looking at the pictures? And I'm like, you know what, let me read it again and see why he would say that. But no, it's pretty true. Even the Joker doesn't know if this is his true origin. And what I like is that I don't think DC will ever really make an origin story that's definite, because but in here, part of this was also adapted in the Under the Red Hood movie, the animated movie, because the Joker is at one point the Red Hood. These guys recruit him, and he thinks he's just gonna go ahead and make some easy money because his wife's pregnant, and his stand-up comedian life is fucked up, and and they put the Red Hood thing on, not knowing that the Red Hood is actually an alias for a huge crime boss or whatever. And so, Batman chases him down, and he's just like, oh, stop, it's not what you think, and then he falls into the vat of chemicals. But basically, part of Tim Burton's Batman is obviously taken from this. So I'm not really spoiling it. I'm not going to go any further, because I don't want people to be pissed off if I'm spoiling, because I did a review at one point, and they got really pissed off that I spoiled the ending, even though it's a sucked-ass movie. But yeah, Alan Moore did really well. Brian Bolland did good artwork. This is the deluxe edition, so it's got revised artwork, making the artwork better. And then it's got a little short at the end, dealing with the Penguin and stuff. Now for the very first comic that I actually bought, and this is what Batman Begins and the Dark Knight's based off of. Batman: The Long Halloween. Okay, it's a really thick book. It basically takes place within a span of a year. Basically, what happens is Andrew Cutter. I was watching a video, and he was really right about this book. It reads a lot like The Godfather. Crime bosses. Carmine Falcone which if you watch the Batman Begins, he's kind of a central part into bringing Scarecrow over and Ra's al Ghul over. Bruce Wayne, is seen kind of talking with him in the beginning of the movie before he leaves to become Batman. And basically, the Falcone family and the Maronis, throughout the whole year, there's this killer called the Holiday, who's killing people on holidays, and Batman's got to figure out, along with Harvey Dent and Jim Gordon, has to figure out who this guy is, because he leaves little marks showing a date or something, and they have to find out who he is and why he's doing it, because it's mostly targeting the Maroni family. And the Falcones, like they're both kind of like wondering what the hell's going on, and Batman goes through, almost his whole like rogues gallery, Joker and Catwoman, Solomon Grundy comes in, which I actually like Solomon Grundy in this, and so much more, and it's also an origin story for Two-Face, and which obviously the Dark Knight, took heavily from this. Which is why The Dark Knight Rises, I'm really hoping they bring in Holiday. I really hope he is shown in this. And I don't know, WB is very kind of picky about being very under wraps with things. Joseph Gordon, I believe his name is, who they say is just playing a beat cop. I have a feeling he's actually going to be playing a different character, because he really looks the part, which I hope he does, because I love the Holiday character. I mean, it's just really good, and also I would love the mystery. I would love to have a mystery where Batman's trying to find out what's going on. What I mean? It's not so straightforward or whatever. And people who didn't read this book will also have that mystery. I'll know it right off the bat, but people who haven't read this will know it. Won't know it. So But yeah, so definitely take a look at this. Batman The Long Halloween. Then we got the sequel book, which is a Robin origin story. It also does wrap up stuff from The Long Halloween. The pages are a lot more lighter, too. I found myself, this actually took longer to read than the other one, even though the other one was like... The other one I actually read in a day, because that's how just engrossing and addictive it was. Like, every time I put it down, 10 minutes later, I was like, I gotta read more. This one, it took me about a month. No, I'm sorry, not a month, about 2 weeks to read. Because I kept stopping, and like, okay, let me absorb what I just read, and this and that. And it's basically the aftermath, but it's also having a new killer that Batman has to figure out, called the Hangman. Meanwhile, he's also dealing with Two-Face and trying to help him out. And he goes through his same rogues gallery from the last one, including a couple more. So yeah, this is a really good book too. But it's just a little bit slower paced than the last one. If you want a more kind of like, I would say, in-depth review, go to Andrew Cutter too. He did a really good review of this and Long Halloween in the same video. So definitely check it out. Alright. Now, this is the final book I've actually read. Okay? It's The Joker, or whatever you want to call it, by Brian Azzarello, and art by Lee Bermejo, or whatever you want to say it. The reason I bought this is, one, I'm a huge Joker fan, like I said, but also, look at the Joker. Tell me who that looks like. And what's surprising is that this was released before The Dark Knight. From what I understand, when they were doing this, they took a look at Heath Ledger and what they were coming up with, and they wanted to tie it in kind of with this. Basically, this is the same author who did Luthor, which I actually will be getting that. And basically, it's through the eyes of one of his henchmen. A henchman who Joker gets out of prison, and this henchman's waiting for him, basically just his limo driver or whatever. And he goes throughout Gotham trying to get the money that is owed to him. Sound familiar? And, he basically, we see him have a run in with like the Penguin and Killer Croc, so and I mean it's the artwork's amazing. I like the artwork. You know, Batman's not featured in this much, and that's just because it is a Joker story. It's through the eyes of one of his henchmen, so Batman basically comes at the end because Joker's going throughout Gotham, righting his wrongs, like righting the wrongs that have been done to him. So yeah. So I would definitely take a look at that. Okay, it's actually pretty inexpensive. This is hardcover, but if this was a paperback, I guarantee it would be like about $10. This was $20, but I got this. I actually got this for $10 because I got it off of half.com.